Welcome back to the Your Invisible Advantage podcast. It's me, T, and today we have another amazing guest with us for the Conversations with Success series that I'm doing on this podcast, where I invite geniuses in their own right, in their elements, to come on and share their wisdom with you around what it takes to be successful, the lessons they've learned, and really just talking about how do we become the people who are the 1%, and the people who can create a life that they love, they get paid to do what they love, and the hardships that come with that. I think not enough people talk about real conversations. So that's this whole series. So today we have Nerida Bindt. Welcome. I'm so excited. Nerida and I have known each other for so long. So introduce yourself. I'll butcher it. So I'm going to let you take over.
Oh, thanks, Tayla. It's so good to be here with you. And yes, I 100% agree with what you say around women and success and leadership. And, you and I followed each other for such a long time. I've done a bit of work with you. You're so inspiring and I think you're right. We don't talk enough about the hardship and the struggle and the reality of running your own business and what it feels like to be a solo entrepreneur working online. So I'm so grateful to have to be here today. So thank you.
This is so exciting because that's just it. No one has the real conversations. So then when people get into it, they see everyone succeeding, but they're not prepared. Their nervous system isn't prepared. Their mentality isn't prepared. Their skills aren't prepared. So that's the goal with this podcast, is to give the real BTS of success and the wins, the losses, the challenges, all of it, the perspective. So Nerida, for anyone who doesn't know her, which if you don't, you need to go follow her. She is Australia's leading emotional intelligence coach for women. Do you also coach men?
I do, but mostly women. Yes, I do work with some men.
Here and there.
Yes, yeah.
And I guess emotional intelligence is that work. It's a soft skill that every single person needs.
Yes.
Right? So
oh my gosh, yes.
It's this work, emotional intelligence. I think it sounds a little bit fluffy sometimes when you hear it. So that's what we're really going to unpack today is how does it manifest? What does it look like?
Yeah.
So that people can actually get more of an understanding of why this is one of the most critical skills any business owner, any personal brand, just any human could really learn and benefit their life, because it does impact your decisions.
Yes.
It impacts your day, your choices, your reactions, everything. So my first question for you, I will shut up and let you take over, is how did you get into this work? How did emotional intelligence become the thing where you were like, oh, that's the thing that I'm going to be coaching on?
It's a great question, and the answer will surprise you. So 2020, I went through a really challenging time. I used to own 2 women's only gyms, and I was in a relationship at the time, and everything blew up in March 2020. My partner broke up with me out of the blue. My businesses were shut overnight. My accountant said to me, Nerida, I actually think you're going to go bankrupt. You don't have enough money to withstand 6 months of lockdown. So it really put me into a spiritual crisis. I was in a lot of pain. I was 38 years old. All I'd ever wanted since I was little was to get married, start a family, and to, fall in love. And it just kept eluding me. And I had done 15 years of therapy. I'd gone to all the things, right? I'd tried everything I could when it comes to personal development, self-improvement, self-awareness. But that time is really painful, and I was kind of in a lockdown, and I was really just reflecting on who I was and where I was at. And I remember typing into Google, this is how desperate I was, what is it that men look for in a wife? I actually typed that into Google, and I expected to see men want someone really attractive, men want someone really smart, men want someone really successful, men want someone who's really funny. But the one thing that kept coming up was a man needs to feel emotionally connected to a woman. And when I read that, I didn't even know what emotional connection meant. So that was the beginning of me trying to understand. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh my gosh, I had zero emotional intelligence. I could not receive, my partner and I now, 6 months later, I could reflect on the reason why we broke up was because he was giving me feedback about how he was feeling in the relationship, and I could not receive it. I was getting defensive, I was shutting down, I was projecting, and that was just bit by bit wearing away at our connection. And so here I am saying it came out of the blue, but now looking back, I can see the steps that were there, but I just was not attuned to. And emotional attunement is a big part of being emotionally connected. So it means being able to recognize the emotional state you are in as well as other people without judgment, blame, shame, avoidance, or suppression.
I love all of that. There are about 20 different questions I have
Go.
in that where I'm like, where do I go first? I feel like the first thing that stood out to me is 15 years in therapy,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
And then nothing kind of clicked or hit until you found emotional intelligence. And this isn't to shit on therapy.
100%.
Therapy is amazing. It serves a place. But why do you think this was different? Why do you think understanding the emotional home and the emotional attunement, why do you think that specifically over something like, let's say, for example, traditional talk therapy, for you, why was that more impactful?
That's a really great question. And there's probably two answers to this. There's probably the fact that I was just in enough pain. Like, Tony Robbins says, nothing changes until the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change. So for me, it was probably that I was getting into my 40s, wanting something but not actually achieving it. But also too, I think what happens so much is I was diagnosed with depression. I was given a label. I was given I was told that this would just be my life. I just needed to take antidepressants. And it was just such a box to put me in. And I never could accept that. And I think for me, there was no exploration of my childhood experience. Like, I will die on this hill every day of the week, but that first 7 to 10 years is like a computer program that gets built. And I've done this work for 5 years now. I've never once been wrong. Not once. You could bring me anyone and I could listen to them talk for 5 minutes and I will give you the answer. I'm telling you right now, this stuff just does not fail. And I get so frustrated. Like, you can see how frustrated I'm getting because I just wish this was taught in university. I wish, but the thing is, you have to understand psychology is heavily linked to pharmacology, and they do not have a vested interest in seeing you heal and outgrow and not be dependent on them for medication. The pharmaceutical industry in the depressants space or in the SSRI space is worth billions. Like, they're not going to actively want people to step out of that. So it just never sat well with me. I have to say, my whole life, I'm so lucky that when I was young, I played a lot of sport and I had some really good mentors, really good coaches who really pushed me to be the best I could. I didn't have amazing parental influence. Like, my parents loved me. They did the best that they could, but I didn't really learn or intentionally, Having deaf parents definitely did instill some amazing values, but I would say these coaches instilled in me a growth mindset. So a growth mindset over a fixed mindset. And I will say this, and this is going to trigger people. When you accept a label or when you accept a fixed state, a fixed diagnosis, you are entering into a fixed mindset. You are accepting that there is nothing you can do to change, that your circumstances are just what they are. And I'm sorry, I do not accept that. I've always been that way. And I think that's why it just never worked for me.
I agree completely. And it's wild that it's so controversial.
I know.
It's wild that you say to someone, you are not XYZ label, and they get offended because they so badly want to defend that, because people, they're in so much pain, they so badly want an answer.
And they just want to stay. They want to stay. They want to feel comfortable accepting
a reson for staying.
That's right.
And it's like, I don't blame people for that. I just wish that people could see that keeps them disempowered.
100%.
And there is liberation available for people, and that's what, we have chosen. And I feel like you're a black sheep. I feel like something you said earlier where you were like, there was a box, and I was like, you're not putting me in that, and I feel like to be an entrepreneur, to be someone who is a creative, a personal brand online, like, you truly are that type of person who you're no longer looking for healing. You're looking for what's after that, like what's on the other side of that. So when we talk about business specific, I always say to people, there's two different types of mindset work you can do, right? There is the mindset work that is healing, and that's a lot of like, let's talk about it, let's go deep into it. Then there's the side of it that's like, all right, and an entrepreneur mindset is different for leadership. You need them both, and I do believe that they both 100%. Have to coexist together. But if we talk about it in a business sense then, So not letting these labels rule you, not letting these labels run you, how is this linked to emotional intelligence with how this would show up for women in business or women who they don't even have to be in business, but just want more for their life or trying to break out of a box that maybe they've been diagnosed with depression, maybe, we don't want to get too into the psychology doctor side of thing there, but someone who wants more with their life and they feel themselves at the moment blocked, trapped, whatever it might be. And they're like, no matter what I do, I can't move forward. How is emotional intelligence leading into that?
Taking radical responsibility for your thoughts and your beliefs. 100%. Yeah. Here I was, this was only 3 years ago. I was working with a coach and I was saying to him, he said to me, on some level, Nerida, you don't have what you want because on some level you don't feel safe to receive it. And I was like, no, you're wrong. I'm ready to get married. I'm ready to find my person. And he was like, no, you're actually not. What I found so interesting was this. I was over here thinking I want to get married. I want to find my partner. I want to start a family. But every day I would wake up and I would think thoughts such as, I'm too old. I'm not attractive. No man will want me. All the good men are taken. I'm never going to find someone. I'm all alone, over and over and over again. So I want you to think about this. You're driving along a road and you get to a fork in the road, right? And the fork on the right-hand side is your dream life. It's everything that you want, everything that you dream of. And on the left is your nightmare. The kind of woman who lives her dream life, what sort of thoughts is she thinking every single day? Is she thinking, I can't wait to go on that date with that guy. He seems so nice. Is she thinking things such as I'm worthy of love, I'm open to meeting people, I can't wait to find this person that's coming along, I'm excited. And when she sees other people online that are getting married, getting engaged, is she happy? Or is she jealous and frustrated?
It's like the growth mindset, fixed mindset.
It's actually about your energy and how close you feel to something. So let's put it this way, right? If I'm looking at people online who are achieving what I want and I have resistance towards that, I feel like heavy emotions such as jealousy, anger, frustration, then of course that means I feel far away from that goal.
Yeah.
Whereas if I see people on Instagram achieving things, doing things. And this is where I noticed I had a completely different mindset in business than I did to relationship. In business, I would show up. I would never take anything personally. I would put myself out there constantly. I would get no's. I would have challenges and setbacks, but I constantly kept showing up, doing my best and just not taking it personally. Whereas in relationship, I would take everything personally and I had a low self-worth in that space. So why do you think I was super successful in business and sucked at relationships? Because of that. So, I really encourage people, if you are struggling in business, do yourself one thing. For one day, I want you to put aside 4 hours. Every single thought that comes up, write it down. Okay, write the thought down. What I want you to do is I want you to have a book. And on one side, I want you to write love. One side, I want you to write fear. And every time you write this thought down, which side does it belong in? Is this a loving thought or is this a fearful thought? And when you notice all of your thoughts are coming from a fear place, that is the first step. You can't change what you first don't acknowledge. If you don't first acknowledge, I don't feel worthy of this goal, I feel fearful, I'm afraid, then you can't actually change it. And I think a lot of women don't want to admit that.
Yeah, 100%. I was talking to a client the other day. She's actually not in business. She's high up in a corporate role that I'm working with her for emotional intelligence, leadership work. And it's really cool to actually have someone who's outside of the online space. It's so different, but I'm actually really loving it. And something I was speaking to her about was that I just used different languaging where I said, I want you to witness your day and I want you to notice the fork in the road. And I said, you're going to be presented at every minute throughout the day. You'll be given a fork in the road.
Yeah.
And on one side is going to be a default.
Yes.
And the default, I said, I want you to watch how often that is in lack, insecurity, doubt, fear, worry, shame, etc., judgment, or deprivation, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Watch the story that comes up there. And then on the other side, what I want you to see it as is what's the opportunity?
Yeah.
Because, and it's the growth and fix.
100%.
We're just using different language around everything. And it's like, that's what I said to her. What's your default? And like you said, you might be like, no, I'm a super positive person. What do you mean? And it's like, no, but in that area, you're super positive.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, relationships for you were totally different
100%.
to your business.
100%.
For me, it was like the opposite way around where I started working on my relationships and myself and the connection like to my body and myself first.
Yeah.
And then I noticed, but I don't have that in my business.
Yeah.
And I had to do it the opposite way around, right?
Most of my clients are like that.
Yeah. So it's like, it's so funny. We're all going to have it play out differently.
Yes.
But what is the biggest thing that you see come up? Because you work with women every single day on this, right? What is the biggest story, narrative, fear that comes up for women when they are putting themselves out there? They're trying to be more visible. They're trying to get paid to do what they love. They're, whatever they're doing online with a personal brand, building a business, like hands down, what's the number one thing you see?
Lack of self-belief. Lack of, the one thing that strikes me as so crazy, women never see themselves in the way I see them.
Yeah.
Women see themselves, they see others as so inspiring and they're so encouraging and supportive of others around them. But when it comes to the way that they see themselves in such a lack mindset. And they don't really, and another thing is women don't ever imagine what's possible. And this is why I'm such a fan of getting into a mastermind, because not until I was spending time with women who were making $400K a month did I start to go, oh my gosh, this is actually possible. So I don't think women really understand what kind of money is available online, and they don't understand the kind of freedom that you can have, the boundaries that you can have, the life that you can build until they start getting into a space where other women are actually embodying that. But 100%, it's a fear of being seen, a fear of judgment, a fear of criticism, and a fear of failure. And it's crazy to me to think that women show up focusing on that, because I think one of the reasons why I am so successful at what I do is I'm focused on service. Yeah. I'm focused on it like every day, like this morning.
It's not about you. It's
not about me at all.
Yeah. And that's what emotional intelligence is.
Yes.
It's the ability to understand yourself, so then yourself doesn't rule your connection with the outside world.
Exactly. And it's so self-obsessive.
Yeah.
I had a body image coach, right? And she was so focused on herself. And I said to her, she lived in Sydney, and I said, okay, let's focus on Sydney. How many women do you think live in Sydney? There's 6 million people. Okay, let's just say half of them are 3 million. Let's say half of those are women in their 20s to 60s, 1.5. How many of those women do you think wake up every day and look in the mirror and hate their bodies? And she was like, probably 80% of them. So I'm like, let's just call it 1 million, right? So every day in your city, 1 million women are waking up feeling disgust, shame, unworthiness. And here you are sitting in your little office feeling sorry for yourself when all these women keep going to work needing your help. That's what drives me every day. Yeah. I think of all the families, I think of all the parents, I think of all the children that are growing their not growing emotional intelligence, like stunted, not living their best life. And I just think I want to get out there and help as many people as I can. Yeah. And you have to get into that mindset.
And I feel like what emotional intelligence does when you learn about it, when you learn to lead yourself, you are no longer self-serving. You've understood yourself so much that you now have the energy, the capacity, the skills to then focus on your external. And so many women are in that survival state.
Oh my gosh, 100%.
Which when you're in survival, if you look at the hierarchy of needs, like self-actualization is up the top, and then you go help other people. Yeah, but when you're still trying to get your base needs met, and I think that's what a lot of women don't realize is they're blocking their own growth because of this, because they can't realize that. And something that you said where it's like, they're stuck in fear of failure, fear of being seen, fear of shame, judgment, whatever. It's so funny because they don't actually realize that by being stuck in that, I always say this, you're a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. Your fear of failure, so you don't take action, you are actually confirming to yourself that you are a failure by not taking action.
Well, you're creating the very thing that you don't want. I find this so fascinating. Everything I do.
Like whatever they try to push away, they don't realize you're actually creating
more of it.
Yeah.
I was running a workshop recently with a group of leaders. They were all like high-profile female leaders. And I ran the whole workshop all day. Everyone's talking, super engaging. And we went around at one point in the afternoon and I was like, what is your biggest fear? And we got around and then this one person stood up and she said her biggest fear was not being heard. I said, isn't that interesting? I haven't heard you speak all day. Mm-hmm. You haven't once volunteered yourself to stand up and speak. She said another fear was people wouldn't come to her birthday. And everyone in the room, they all worked together. They were like, we didn't even know you had a birthday.
Yeah, you didn't invite me.
So it's like you are creating the very thing you're most fearful of, you're actually creating because you're not consciously showing up and acknowledging the state that you're in, the beliefs that you're in.
Mm-hmm. And that goes
what
back,
you run from, you run into.
And that goes back to what you said about when you had the coach working on your relationships and they were like, hey, you're creating this. You're like, no, I'm not. But when you can actually be honest with yourself, self-responsibility, and see that in yourself, it's not personal. That's what, and you also said something earlier, which I wanted to note on, which was we think we're individual in all of this. Every single person, humans run the same way. Psychology is the same across the board, whether you're a female or a male, whether
100%.
you are 2 or 102, it does not matter. You're not special. I love you, but you're not.
Yeah.
You know, like we all work the same. We have different reasons why they're created.
Yeah.
And we have different ways that they manifest and play out. And, you know, I have different negative emotional addictions than you do. But
100%.
It's all different and we have different prisons running internally. But ultimately, when you understand yourself, you can help other people so much. And it's like, I just think this work, when like self-leadership work is what I see emotional intelligence as self-leadership. Yeah. That's how I see
100%.
it. 100%.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
It's like, if you do not have that skill first, why would you ever think you can impact the world? Yeah. I heard this quote yesterday from Warren Buffett, and he was like, if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage your wealth. Yeah. And I was like, bingo.
So true.
Like literally exactly that. And it's like, how do you see that playing out with women in business with money then? You know, where it's like they undercharge, they discount their services, they like all these kind of things. Do you see that a lot?
Oh my gosh. Like my clients laugh about it now because I have a rule where they have to bring every program, every offer to me before it gets shared. And straight away, it's almost at least 2 to 3 times what they actually offer. And the funny thing is, they're actually so afraid of the no. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of that rejection. They're not afraid of, like most women, or they're afraid of actually the client accepting the offer and then having to follow through with it. Yeah. That's what a lot of women fear.
Result?
Yeah, a lot of women fear, like, well, now I have to show up, now I have to do the work, now I have to make sure it's worthwhile. And it's like, no, all you have to trust is that you are one step ahead of this person and you have to teach them one thing. Each session, one takeaway. Yeah. I remember when I first started coaching and I thought I had all this knowledge and I would sit people down in retreat and I would be like, okay, I just want to give you everything I have for 3 days. So I would just bark at them all day. They would leave like so tired. They're like, my God,
emotionally drunk from what?
And then I started changing it to being more interactive and I taught them a lot less, but they left feeling like they actually weren't so overwhelmed. So you don't need to have all the answers. I just, you know, there's a great quote by Ram Dass. We're all just walking each other home. You know, like I've done a bit of work with you. You're a few steps ahead of me in some spaces, right? Yeah. And then I'll go and do some work with someone else and da-da-da-da. And it's like, I don't need you to be a multimillionaire to be able to help me. 100%. I just need you to be a few steps ahead of me to go, Nez, I know exactly where you are. This is what's happening, da-da-da.
And just a specific genius as well, like, you know, a specific thing. So like I can come and hire you for leadership work. You can 100%. Teach me how can I get on more stages? How can I get on more podcasts? Like you have something that every single person has something that they could help another person with.
100%.
Being further ahead, like money-wise isn't always the thing. It's like you just have to have something you're passionate about, skillful with, and then fucking trust.
Own it.
That like, this is your thing. This is your genius. This is your space. And then you'll get on podcasts like you. Yes. You know, you are one of the most, I see you on podcasts all the time. Yeah. I'm like, yes.
Yeah. And it's funny though, because it's just the gap, right? Everyone notices a gap. Like look at this podcast studio, right? These guys that started this noticed a gap in the market. They noticed, hey, there's not a high-end premium podcast, you know, sort of space where you can go and interview and have all your audio, visuals, lighting, everything done for you.
Where we look stunning.
We look great. and you know, actually people go all along the country to do this. Like, why don't we set something up where people can fly around and be under the one, it's just all easy. They noticed a gap in the market. And the funny thing is everyone notices something, like, but it's a specific niche, right? Like for me, I was like, I'm noticing that there are women that are sick of their 9 to 5, that want to work for themselves, that love emotional intelligence, but they just don't have the confidence to fully step in and work for themselves. That's my niche, right? Yeah. So everyone has a specific gap that they notice. And, you know, I just wish people would lean in and trust that more and fully own it.
And it's the thing usually that you're so passionate about, you're so interested in, you could talk about underwater.
All day,
And it's honestly, we think about it and we're like, oh, that's pretty simple though. Is it too simple? Is it too basic? And that's what stops a lot of people as well. They try to overcomplicate.
Well, do you know what I'll tell you? Here's a great way to snap out of that, okay? Now, I'm a Christian, I believe in God, and I believe he speaks to us every single day. And when that truth hits, when the first thought is truth, I should start a podcast. I should start a podcast studio. I should coach women. I should XYZ, right? The second is the fear. That is the devil.
Yeah.
And too many people are living their lives, dictated by evil demonic spirits. The first thought is God. God places that vision on your heart for a reason. So trust that.
So I have a framework called the 7 deadly sins.
Yes.
And it's not religious.
Yes.
It's like the internal, right?
Yeah.
It's not a religious thing at all. Like I believe in a higher power, but like this isn't that conversation.
Yeah.
So it's more so like the internal sins that we think are bad, so hence the fear coming in because the shadows, right?
Yes.
So I love shadow work. I love like subconscious prisons, I love all of that type of stuff. So however I do things, I'm always looking for what deadly sin are they running? Like is it greed, gluttony, envy? Like envy is if you look at someone and you're like so jealous of them and then you think, well, that's not possible. Gluttony is like just getting all the courses, more, overconsumption, one more qualification.
Yes.
This,
so good.
Greed is like I have so much responsibility now. I'm more successful. Like anyway, I could explain them forever, but like they all fit somewhere.
Yes.
And they were the 7 that I saw playing out for everyone. There's like perfectionist, overwhelmed, no boundaries, like all these different things, not asking for help. And they're the common core themes that people run, and you are correct, where I did a post on this yesterday where I was in my hotel room and I was thinking about it because I had an idea the other day and I was like, I should do that as a side quest, as like a little fun thing that I'm doing. And then I was like, no, who would do that? Fear came in, all the stories as to why it wouldn't work. So I put it out of my mind. I was scrolling my phone yesterday and I saw this person doing something on social media and I was like, what's this? Click into it. Someone else in my hometown where I thought it hadn't been done, whatever. Someone else is doing it. And I was like, I should have acted on that. I should have acted on that aliveness, on that spark, on that inspiration. And that's what people do is they have the inspiration and then they think about it, but they overthink it. And then the overthinking lets all the stories come in.
Well, yeah, I agree. And do you know what it is? The nervous system. Your nervous system isn't wired for receivership. Like it's not wired for abundance. Most people actually feel so uncomfortable feeling good, feeling like allowing that, you could ask and you could say to any woman like, oh, I love your outfit. And the first thing that they will do is block that. They'll say, oh, this old thing.
Oh, it's from Kmart. What do you mean?
They will block that every day of the week. And I can tell when I give a compliment to a woman, how she receives it, how her nervous system is wired to allow joy, love, adoration, abundance, money flow into her life, like life force into her life. Yeah. And I have walked that. I came from poverty. I came from, scarcity when it came to like love and connection and understanding. And the life I live today is like light years from that. But I've had to do so much work. Like my partner that I'm with right now, I actually broke up with him 12 months ago because do you want me to tell you why?
What?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
So I found it really interesting. I always said I wanted an emotionally available partner. Okay. I wanted this partner that adored me, But when it actually showed up, do you know what came up in me? The emotion of disgust. Because I actually didn't have the relationship with myself that he was reflecting back to me. He was just giving me adoration, love, support. And because I had unresolved disgust within me that was from my father, I projected that onto him. So instead of me actually looking at that and wondering, why is it that I feel this ick when he does something so lovely for me? And what I did was I projected it onto him. So because I couldn't own it, I would be like, oh, he's actually a bit this, he's a bit that, he's not quite this, So I made the judgment on him. We broke up and I just kind of spiraled. I was like, okay. And I started really reflecting on these men that were like giving me breadcrumbs that I would chase, work for. Yeah. And then I was reflecting on this beautiful man who just never would let me go a day without knowing he adored me and loved me and why I had to push that away. So I had to, and I'm going to say a lot of women have this internal emotion that they have not yet processed. And you can't allow a level of love in that you don't actually have within yourself.
Yeah.
But what you won't do is you won't actually own that. You'll make it mean something about him. Like his big toe is smaller than his second toe. Or
he buttons his top button up.
that he wears joggers with jeans. Like you will do something to put it back on him.
Yeah.
But the emotion is actually disgust.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. I feel like a lot of, I mean, not that this is about relationships, this podcast.
Yeah, sorry.
But I feel like it does have a lot to do with it because our relationship with ourselves impacts every relationship we have. Business, success, wealth, clients, money, all of it.
Well,
right?
ask yourself, what's the emotion that most women feel when they are given a compliment or adoration or praise in business? It's disgust or disbelief. Most women don't believe it.
Yeah.
Most women are like, oh, she doesn't really mean that. Why would she say that? They go into disbelief.
And even if we put that into the online sense, you know, you could be having the most impact in the world on people and you're going to get one comment that's negative.
Yeah.
And if you have 200 that are, you've helped me so much, you've saved my life, you're the best ever, this, you know, I've got this kind of transformation. And then you get one person who says, oh, you know, I feel like I didn't really learn that much from your program. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Right. And I actually saw you did a post about this the other day. Do you want to tell that?
Yeah. So for me, when you're wired to focus on that person more than the people that you're actually working with, it's because your RAS is still activated towards lack, limitation, criticism, shame. And what you're doing is you're taking that personally rather than just allowing that person to have their own experience.
Yeah.
But whatever you focus on grows. So I focus on, like I get criticism, I get complaints, I get people challenging me and telling me I'm wrong. And I will always read it and I will always ask myself, what's here for me to learn? But I will not allow myself to spiral. My internal boundaries are rock solid. I will not allow myself to spiral. And do you know what I do? I immediately put my focus on those old messages that I have from women that have worked with me. You've helped me, you've changed my life, da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. So when you are more focused on, you know, the negative than the positive, it's because deep down you actually internally still believe that within.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? That's actually showing you a belief that you have not healed.
Yeah, and it wouldn't trigger you or
if you
hit you if there wasn't that element under there.
Like if I said to you, you're a size 6 to 8, right? If I said to you, Tayla, you're obese. Yeah, exactly. You laugh.
I'm like, what?
You laugh, okay, because you know it's not true. Yeah. Now, let's just get a little bit personal here. I'm a size 16. If you said that to me, would I find that ridiculous or would I maybe take that personally? Would I maybe have some belief in that? I would probably have some belief in that and get offended.
Yeah.
Okay? So, but because I own it and I'm like, well, I'm a size 16 because I've been eating like an asshole, not training properly.
Self-responsibility.
100%.
Right. Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? A lot of women, this is why I say accountability and ownership is so important because you'll be so offended by someone, but you will not actually admit on some level, I do believe, I'm afraid that what she's saying is true.
Yeah. And it's never that they've said it. It's that you believe there's some part of that to be true. I said this to a client the other day. I was like, if someone had commented and said, I fucking hate your purple hair.
Yeah.
What would you do? She's like, well, I don't have purple hair. And I'm like, yes. But if someone said, if someone gave me the thing and said, if I saw a video online and it wasn't even about me, it would just be a video that said, I think people who have natural hair color and don't dye their hair are ugly as fuck. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what do you mean? I've got natural hair, right? If I felt some type of way about not like, I love my natural hair.
Yes.
But like if I felt like I didn't love my natural hair, I'd be offended by that. It's such a like surface level example.
Yes.
But I was like, you know, if someone's yelling at you in French, you don't really know what they're saying.
Exactly.
They could be hyping you the fuck up and you're just like, okay.
It only has impact if you give meaning to it. Peter Crone talks about this a lot. And it's actually so powerful because we get to decide what we make things mean.
Yeah.
And you get to decide every single day when things are going right or things are going wrong. Like 5 years ago when all my life fell apart, funnily enough, I'd done a little bit of work on myself, so I knew it was a divine storm. I knew it was for a good reason. And now looking back, it was the best thing that happened to me. So that, you know, the work we have to do is mentally like always be constantly holding ourselves to a high standard and having boundaries for ourselves and growing as much as we can, because when we take every single challenge every single day by captive and we create intentionally, we can live the life that we dream of.
Yeah.
But most people won't ever do the work to do that.
100% because they're so afraid of the storm.
Yes.
And literally, I love what you said, the divine storm. So like, I want to talk about that for a second because so many people see it as when there's challenge, when they're presented with criticism, when there's an opportunity for them to quite literally grow and become the person they say they want to be, they shy away from it because they think there's something wrong, it's bad, they don't believe they're capable, they don't have the skills yet. And so many people shy away from that instead of actually going into the storm because it's almost like, I would actually love to hear your take on it. I mean, I have my take, but why do you think that is that people are so afraid to face the storm?
Well, because I think a lot of people aren't built for adversity. Like I think we live such comfortable lives. And I think one of the best things, again, going back to having a sporting background, like that set me up for success. Like if I did not have that, I don't even want to know where I'd be today. Having played sport, trained hard, challenged myself, I think shows me a mental fortitude that I have today that I don't know if I would have otherwise. And I think people are afraid of it. They're afraid of feeling uncomfortable emotions. They're afraid of having hard conversations. They're afraid of doing hard things like living on a budget or living simply and just, actually kind of like making sacrifice. And I also think people are afraid of their end. Like people are so afraid of where they might end up or where they might not end up that we don't have enough trust in the plan that the Lord has for us. For we walk by faith, not by sight. And that is something I lived by in some of my toughest times when I was so broken and I felt so unlovable and I wondered if I would live and die all alone. When I came back to the fact that God loved me and that he would only put this dream on my heart for a reason, that's what got me through those times. So I think that, and my partner is going through a bit of a divine storm at the moment. And it's funny because I can see him really caught up in it and I don't know if he's really stepping back and doing the mindset work and doing the internal spiritual work. Like, the thing is only 15% of people on this planet ever pursue self-actualization. That's not a lot of people, right? So 85% of people are living their life completely on autopilot. So not enough people take a step back and reflect and actively want to grow, actively want to work on themselves, actively take responsibility. And and I know I can see myself do that sometimes. Like I can see myself do that with my stepson when he triggers me. I can see myself do that in certain parts of my life. So I'm not perfect. Yeah. But I think people are afraid of that because they're so used to comfort.
Yeah, that's such a great answer. I feel like emotional intelligence, leadership work, it really is one of those things where if you ask someone, hey, how are you planning to invest to grow your business? Every single person is going to say, I'm going to hire the ads coach. I'm going to hire someone to help me with my content. Slay, love the content, hire me. But it's like they're going to think about all those things. And whenever someone comes into my world, they get what they didn't expect, which is to learn the soft skills, which is what no one looks at because everyone wants the hard skills. Yeah. They want the thing that's going to print them money, like I need to learn how to market and sell. Okay, amazing. But then what are you going to do when that stops working? When the industry changes? When, someone wants a fucking refund on a course that they've completely finished? How are you going to handle that conversation? What are you going to do when a client signs up with someone else after working with you? What are you going to do when you get someone give you a bad comment? Like, what are you going to do when all these things happen? If you only ever have hard skills, that is why you're in such turmoil all the time. You're in that emotional volatility. Yes. Because every time you swing into the fear, doubt, judgment, lack, shame, whatever, you're spiraling. And people spiral so much so they're so dysregulated in their business. But if you can actually learn how to become more regulated in business, it's staying calm under that pressure and it's having those skills to navigate it. So my question for you is, what do you see being the biggest thing? So let's say, for example, if you have someone come to you, they're very high up, making lots of money with whatever they're doing. What are the biggest ways it's currently manifesting in their life to not have emotional intelligence? And then what are the biggest things you work with them on?
Okay, so sorry, what's this person struggling with?
What do they come to you struggling with?
So I've got someone who's in a corporate role, making heaps of money. She comes to me. Okay, so
you can pick your favorite scenario.
Okay, so I would say the biggest reasons why people come to me is because something's not working in their life. So it's either their relationship is not working or they're in burnout, like they're in a relationship, they're working heaps and they're just in constant burnout. Yeah. or they're not making enough money. And it's all down to unresolved emotions. Like it's all down to they don't feel worthy. They're all running from pain essentially. So a lot of women I see that are successful but maybe don't have the relationship down pat, they've gone out and they've moved into their masculine energy so far that they've buried themselves in their roles to be successful because they don't want to sit with the pain of having an abusive father or having an absent father or looking at their beliefs around men. If it's women that are in business, or let's just say you, okay? You sound like you've got the relationship, the business is going well, but you want to step into a thought leader space, okay? Now, it's really interesting because you haven't really said much about this, but I've heard a few bits and pieces, which I find so fascinating because I look at I don't watch a lot of people's content, but I always make a point of watching yours. For me, you just look like a natural leader. You just look like you speak so fluently and freely, but I know you still have some self-worth around that. What you do is you put me on a pedestal, right? And you think I'm all the way up here and you're not quite. But I look at you and I'm like, you're how old? 10 years younger than me. You've already built this $1 million business, you're going to achieve way more than I ever would, right? But you just need to see you the same way we all see you.
Yeah, it's so interesting because it's coming back to that different areas of life. Because I'm so confident online. I'm so confident in all those situations. I'm confident here.
Yeah.
I love podcasting. But if you were to be like, hey, Tayla, I've booked you to get on a stage, I'd be like, who the fuck would want to listen to me?
And
why?
That thought right there, who would want to listen to me? Now, that is the biggest thing that I see holds women back because I never think that.
Yeah.
I'm like.
You're like, everyone should listen to me.
I'm like, why are people not giving me, like why are people not lined up? Like if you
But I also have that belief of myself. I'm also like, but I feel like more people need my work.
Yes.
So, you know.
But I don't ever have that first thought.
Yeah.
I never have that. So for you, the work is capturing that, keeping that captive, noticing it and flipping it, noticing like, well, actually, I've helped this many people. I have this many people write to me every single day. I'm excited to get on a stage and help people. Like it's going back into that service. But that right there is a huge thought that I see women have all the time. Like who would want to listen to me?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing I see hold women back. It's like, well, who wouldn't want to listen to you? Like, where did you even learn that?
Yeah.
Where did you even my parents are deaf. My parents are hearing impaired. Like my parents physically actually never listened to me.
So you're like, I want to be heard.
Yeah. It's like they actually, I can actually sing, right? And when I was 18, I used to sing all the time and annoy my brother and sister. And I remember my mum got up and there was this guy solo player and she said, can you please ask my daughter to get up and sing? I want to see if she can sing. Made me get up on a stage and sing at 14 in front of all these people. And everyone was like, wow, that's amazing. And like, she never heard me sing once, never heard me speak. But so I probably have more evidence than anyone to prove, why would anyone want to listen to me? But it's just one of those things, right? Or maybe the reverse. Maybe because I knew mum and dad were never available to listen to me, I just didn't even go there and I didn't get the rejection.
Yeah.
I didn't bid for that connection, get rejected and shut down. So therefore I built the belief who would want to listen to me. Yeah. Maybe it worked that way. I don't know. Yeah. But I never think that.
It's so funny. And I mean, there's so many circumstances that I can put it down to. But like the one that stands out the most is I grew up with my brother and his friends. Yeah. And I was always like they had to include me, like had to, and they always hated it. And I was like, who would want to hang out with me? So it's like the same type of thing that then bleeds out there. Yeah. But I think it's like, I'm not big enough. Like I don't have a powerful enough story. Like, and it's like, I haven't had it hard enough, right? I run a theme of guilt in my life of like, I haven't had it hard enough. I had a good upbringing, etc. Doesn't matter about my eating disorders. Doesn't matter that I was like a fucking failure, went to like, didn't go to university, worked at Blockbuster. Like I discount all of that because I'm like, no, but I haven't had it as hard as other people. So therefore I'm like, I don't get to get on a stage, right? So it's so interesting.
And, I had a client the other day, she's a childcare worker, really wants to get into the childcare. She works in the childcare industry but wants to go in as a leader and educate people on this emotional home and this emotional intelligence for children in that age bracket, right? She did the same thing. She jumped on a call and she was like, but Nez, I only have this many people following. But Nez, I only have this and like looking at all the lack. And I was just like, wow, like you are so focused on those things which mean nothing, by the way. Yeah. Some of the biggest podcasts that I have landed have been through DMs when I had 5,000 followers and I happened to get on and blow up, right? Whereas some of the other podcasts that I've done when I had a full media kit, over 11,000 followers, nowhere near as impactful. So it actually means nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's all smoke and mirrors. Like I'll give you another example. I have a client that works with me who has 150,000 followers combined, right? She has 80,000 on her page. She makes a quarter of the money I do. Mm-hmm. She cannot sign a client to save herself. She's got this huge Instagram following, so she's great at posting content. She's great at getting follows, but she cannot seem to make money or get on a stage, right? So I could look at that. When she first signed up to work with me, I was like, I don't get it. On paper, you look more successful. No, like I make 4 times the money she makes and I have 11,000 followers. Like, come on. Like it's all smoke and mirrors. It means nothing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, you know, when you were saying all that, the pattern that I run is it's the negative emotional addiction to deprivation, which is also eating disorders. Like it's all like, there's not enough, there's not enough, I don't have enough, I'm not enough. So it's like all of that runs in with it. Anyway, so I want to wrap this up because we have to wrap it up, but I want you to leave the audience with what is your biggest piece of wisdom if someone was starting to, maybe they've done emotional intelligence work, maybe they haven't done it, but they keep hitting the same ceiling, same revenue ceiling, same visibility ceiling, not putting themselves out there for opportunities that they know they want. What is your biggest piece of advice and wisdom that you would leave them with?
Get into a container or a room or a retreat with people who are 5 to 10 years ahead of you. Like, you know, iron sharpens iron every single day. So I honestly think you can't outgrow you can't be what you can't see. Yeah. And so I really believe in getting yourself around people constantly that are more successful than you, that are fitter than you, you know, have amazing relationships that you look up to, that are good people, like that live by good values. I honestly think get yourself around those people and invest in yourself with someone who is going to keep you accountable and really push you. Like I love what you said earlier about, you know, there's this whole like healing side, which is all about compassion and feeling and but then there's this entrepreneurial side, which is like at the end of the day, you've got to do the work. Yeah. And it's so true, right? I had someone comment on something on my page the other day. I kind of called people out and she kind of went into this real compassion comment. And I was like, hey, I didn't write back to her, but I said, I've got all the compassion in the world for any woman that's struggling, but I'm also going to call you to a higher standard. 100%. But at the end of the day, women like Layla Hormozi, women like yourself, we're not sitting there feeling sorry for ourselves. We're getting out, we're doing the work. Yeah. So you need to work with someone who can hold both things. They can have the compassion for you, see why you're stuck there, but also give you the steps to get to the next point. Yeah. And you just have to have someone that makes you do things that are really uncomfortable every single day.
Yeah, I was revisiting my brand DNA the other day, which is like a program that I have. I do it myself every like 6 months or something. And one of the things I was looking at is like, what's your approach? How do you do things? And what I wrote, it was like, I'm a savage, but I'm also super compassionate. It was like, think like Navy SEAL cross Gabble Mate. Yeah. I'm like, I like mix both of them together. Yes. No, I love that so much. So thank you so much. I feel like we could just talk forever. We need to do another one already, but let everyone know, where can they find you? What do you have going on? Yeah. If they want to come and work with you, like let them know all the gossip.
Thank you. So Nerida Bindt on Instagram, follow me, hit me up, tag me. I have an online course, Master Your Mindset, which has everything that I teach in video format, 6 modules, 60 worksheets, 60 lessons. So I would recommend anyone that's like interested in this to step into that. It'll teach you all about your emotional home, childhood experience, limiting beliefs, why you are the way you are today. So it gives you a bit of a roadmap on how to break that and change. Or if you're interested in becoming an emotional intelligence coach as a woman, reach out to me, book a clarity call because I take women through that process over 6 months in my She Leads program. But I just love all of this and I love what you do. I just want to really honor you for the work that you do for women. You give so much content and free advice out that like without anything in return, and you just contribute so much to this planet and to women being better. And I'm just, it's amazing to witness. I love that you're doing this podcast and I can't wait to see you on more stages. I'm going to hold you accountable to that.
Okay, she's now my coach. Thank you so much. I love this. I've loved having you on today.
Thank you for having me.
You're amazing. Go and follow her. And that is it, guys. Tag us, share it, and we can't wait to hear your feedback. Thanks.